Hey, how's it going everyone? I hope that you're all having an amazing day. Apex Legends Season 6 is only a few hours away at the time that I'm uploading this video, and there are several huge changes that are coming in Apex Legends that we are going to be going over in this video. I will also be streaming Apex Legends Season 6 from an hour before launch well into Season 6 over on Twitch. The link will be on the screen and in the description. Come and stop by, but let's get into all of these changes, starting off with one of the big changes, which is that the R99 is now located in supply drops. The R99 is taking the place of the Devotion in supply drop, and also the R99 has had its damage increased slightly, as well as its magazine size pushed up to 32 with a total of 160 rounds to use fresh out of the supply drop. The supply drop version of the R99 is definitely going to be worth picking up when you see it, but there is another big change, and it has to do with the precision choke hop-up, and in that it is now just built into the triple take and the Peacekeeper. It can be toggled with the select fire button to switch between using and not using the precision choke, and this has me super excited because it will now make the triple take always worth a grab as a sniper. So now what we are going to do is just breeze through all of these weapon changes and then breeze through all of the legend changes so that I can make the information in this video as condensed as possible. But let me know down in the comments which of these changes you guys are most excited for, and let's get right into it. Starting off with the R99, which we already know has had its magazine size increased as well as its ammo reserve, but its damage has also been increased from 11 to 12. Also moved out of the supply drop into ground loot is the Devotion, which now has a clip size reduced back to the original values of 36, 40, 44, and 48. The Hemlock will now have reduced vertical recoil in burst mode, and they also slightly reduced recoil in pattern on the second and third shots, so the first burst kicks less. Burst mode time between bursts went from 0.32 seconds to 0.28 seconds. So it seems like the Hemlock got a bit of a buff with the recoil and the burst time there. It's kind of confusing the way they worded it. We'll just have to see how it plays out in game. But the charge rifle has also been changed and will now use 2 ammo per shot, and has had its magazine size increased from 4 to 8. The triple take got a buff, and it increased its fire rate from 1.25 to 1.4 seconds. They increased the magazine size from 5, 6, 7, and 8 to 6, 7, 8, and 9. And also they built the choke hop up into the weapon by default, which can be toggled by the select fire to enable or disable the choke. The Peacekeeper also has the built-in choke hop up, and the Spitfire has had its recoil controllability improved. Moving on though, the Havoc was updated and they changed the Havoc with a new recoil pattern. The designer note here is that the Havoc's existing recoil pattern had consistent horizontal movement. This means it would be either too difficult to control if there was too much recoil, or far too easy to control if there was too little recoil. So what they've done is updated it to a new pattern which is more consistent in style with the existing recoil patterns. The Mozambique has had its clip size increased from 3 to 4, and the P2020 has had its damage increased from 13 all the way up to 15, and they decreased the hammer point damage multiplier from 2.7 over to 2.35. This will leave the hammer point P2020 damage unchanged in most scenarios, but they also have increased the magazine size from 10, 13, 15, and 18 to 12, 14, 16, and 18. The Sentinel now only requires 1 shield cell to charge if the player has the gold armor. The Prowler has also been changed, and they slightly reduced the vertical recoil in burst mode, and they increased the horizontal recoil in auto mode. That's all of the weapon changes that they have listed out here. Now we are going to jump in and go through all of the legend changes, and there are quite a few of them, so let's get into it here with first talking about the Recon legend changes, because they have changed all of the Recon legends, meaning Bloodhound, Crypto, and Pathfinder can now all use the survey beacons in order to get the next ring location, and Crypto can use his drone to instantly get this information. So now that we know that the Recon legends have been updated, we are going to talk about Pathfinder, because previously he was the only legend that could use the survey beacons. So to kind of give Pathfinder a little bit of a buff in those regards, they made it to where each time Pathfinder scans a survey beacon, the total cooldown of the zipline gun is reduced. So the zipline gun cooldown is reduced by 10 seconds each time the Pathfinder scans a beacon, up to 6 rings per game. This means the total cooldown from the zipline gun can go from 120 seconds to 60 seconds, which is actually pretty big. If you manage to get 6 scans in a single game, you will be able to pretty continuously use Pathfinder's zipline gun to get away from or get into scenarios. Moving on to Bloodhound, he has had his Beast of the Hunt changed to where it now gains even more duration when Bloodhound scores a knockdown or kill with the ultimate about to run out, and his Eye of the Allfather ability has changed to where during the Beast of the Hunt, Eye of the Allfather now comes out twice as fast and has a much shorter cooldown. The numbers on this are the Beast of the Hunt has extended from 5 seconds to in between 5 and 15 seconds based on the remaining duration of the ultimate, and the Eye of the Allfather cooldown during the Beast of the Hunt has reduced from 25 seconds all the way down to 6 seconds. Also, Eye of the Allfather total use time during Beast of the Hunt has reduced from 1.8 seconds to 0.9 seconds. So it looks like they've changed the way Bloodhound's abilities work when it comes to using his ultimate and his tactical combined. As for Crypto and his surveillance drone, they changed it to where Crypto can now activate respawn and survey beacons from his drone. Doing so is instant instead of requiring a prolonged use. That's huge. Crypto is going to be a major clutch legend in ranked play now, but moving on, they also made the surveillance drone slightly more consistent to hit, but also doubled its hit points. So they made it a little bit easier to hit the drone, but made it last a little bit longer. We'll see how that plays out. I'm not too excited about that, but moving on to his drone EMP. The EMP will now slow teammates caught in the blast, even if they had no shield. This means that players who have used Revenant's Death Totem will also be slowed. And the numbers are the surveillance drone's hit points have doubled from 30 hit points all the way up to 60 hit points, and the hitbox size has changed from 16 to 24. Moving on to Revenant, who has had some changes to his Death Totem, and now for 2 seconds after being recalled by the Death Totem, players cannot use Wraith's Dimensional Rift. Moving on to Octane, he has had his Stim ability changed to where you can now use Stim while healing, but Stim will not remove the slow you incur from healing. Moving on to Loba, who has had some changes, and a big one is Black Market cooldown has been lowered from 3 minutes to 90 seconds. So basically you will be able to use Loba's Black Market about twice as often, but still not a major buff for Loba. And I'm actually just now reading this for the first time and genuinely disappointed because Loba's tactical ability where she throws her bracelet is just absolute garbage at this point in time. Literally, you for 2 seconds before throwing or while throwing the bracelet are totally vulnerable to shots, and then 3 seconds after throwing the bracelet you are totally vulnerable to shots, and to boot you can't even cancel it mid-throw. So if you throw it and then happen to come to find out you're throwing it right into a team of 3 people, there's nothing you can do besides land for 3 seconds defenseless in that group of 3 people. Her tactical ability needs to be reworked entirely. Moving on though, before I get into too much of a rant, Gibraltar has had his defensive bombardment cooldown increased from 3 minutes to 4.5 minutes. And moving on to Bangalore, she has had her Rolling Thunder decreased from 4.5 minutes to 3 minutes. So they basically swapped the times it takes for each of those legends to get up to their ultimate. And last but not least on this list, we have Watson, whose interception pylon has been changed, and the trophy system will now shoot down caustic barrels in flight if they would have landed inside the range of the trophy. That's interesting to know. So apparently caustics were also able to counter Watson's by just hucking a gas trap in there, but they fixed that. So those are all of the big notable weapon and legend changes that I wanted to bring to you guys in this video. It's already going longer than I wanted it to. Hopefully we'll see what happens after editing, but I hope you all have an amazing day. Don't forget to come check me out on Twitch as soon as season 6 goes live. We are going to be live, and actually an hour before that even, but other than that, I hope you all have an amazing day. I'm out.